Hey everyone, I hope you're doing well out there. I wanted to talk about this full moon in Aquarius that we are experiencing because of how many layers of significance it contains and what this means for us on a grand scale, especially since Aquarius is such a future-oriented and evolutionary-based sign. The North Node has just entered Aquarius, which is bringing our attention to group goals, activities, and relationships. So this full moon on the 29th is 6 degrees of Aquarius and will be in a conjunction with Pluto, 4 degrees of Aquarius, which by itself speaks volumes about what is being illuminated during this time. And if that wasn't enough, it forms an opposition to Jupiter in exact conjunction to the Sun on the same day. So the tension created by Jupiter opposite of Pluto is causing a huge need to break free from limiting or toxic conditions with this feeling or sentiment that if not now, when? In my opinion, this is when a lot of things are surfacing, coming to a head, becoming exposed, finally reaching some kind of climax of experience, but this does not necessarily mean the end. Instead, rather, it could mean the end of a situation that can no longer continue in the same fashion. Something must die so that something new may be born. And there is an enormous potential right now that can be directed toward massive accomplishments and breakthroughs. I also wanted to talk about the Sabian symbols for this full moon, which really jumped out at me as being quite significant and relevant in this time. The Sabian symbol for the sun in Leo is the constellations of stars shine brilliantly in the night sky, a very Aquarian scene. But for the full moon in Aquarius, the symbol is a child is seen being born out of an egg. This calls to my mind the Orphic egg and the Greek god Phanes or Phanes. Excuse my pronunciation if that is incorrect. But this is a Greek god of the Orphic tradition who was born from a cosmic egg and whose name means light bringer. And so this deity was considered to be both male and female, beautiful in appearance with golden wings intertwined with a serpent's tail. And this was a being who possesses or possessed incredible powers that, due to being a fresh creation, was free from the burdens of ancestors. And so this is a sort of symbol for our spiritual potential after we've deconditioned from our past. And this goes back to an alchemical process. I could go so much deeper into that, but I just wanted to go another layer into the full moon, which has a continued influence of the basket arrangement that's been in circulation lately. There's an interpretation that I haven't heard any other astrologers speak of yet, so I'll mention it here today. Some of you might have heard of Bruno Huber, who was a Swiss astrologer and psychologist who founded the Astrological Psychology Institute in 1968 with his wife Louise. Huber's interpretation of the basket is something worth examining, not just regarding an individual's personal psychology, but the collective mind. Most of us are familiar with Carl Jung's describing the collective unconscious, for example, as a part of the psyche that is shared among all humans, that contains universal symbols and archetypes that all of us experience. So anyway, Huber said that the basket, which is also known as the cradle pattern, I believe that's what he called it, hints at its childlike connotations, by the way. It indicates a situation of wanting to be cradled or sheltered from the rest of the world. And so he said, wherever it's found, there will be some fear of the opposite hemisphere. I also see this as resistance, tension, or even anger at the opposite hemisphere. So in this case, that would especially highlight the signs from Scorpio to Capricorn. I would also include Libra, but Venus is going to enter that sign too and become involved with the other planets. So what we're looking at now are situations of criticism, escapism, and rejection of the shadows. And Scorpio is especially universally known as a sign that delivers sharp realizations, while Sagittarius, the following sign, potentially sets us free from limitations and limited views, and Capricorn, which comes after Sagittarius, aids us in creating greater structure and discipline. So in whatever areas we lack maturity or authority, these things just described may seem terrifying. And that's where we would seek to duck and run from them. And there you have it. We are really focused right now in figuring out what our true desires and motivations are through the planetary expressions of Jupiter in Leo, Uranus in Gemini, Saturn and Neptune in Aries, and Pluto in Aquarius. Chiron is not a planet, but known as a comet at 0 degrees Taurus, cuts straight down the middle of the basket, which indicates that cusp area between the end of Libra and beginning of Scorpio is crucial. And this is also the area that Venus will be transiting for an extended period due to retrograde motion later this year. And already some serious questions are coming up around contracts, agreements, and relationships of all kinds. At the time of this full moon, Venus is exactly squaring Mars, both mutable, Venus 21 degrees Virgo, Mars 21 degrees Gemini. And this can create a lot of high friction and conflict, if not attraction or excitement in relationships. Not to mention instability, a lot of uncertainty, okay? Because mutable energy is all over the place, here, there, here today, gone tomorrow. We don't know what is happening really. A lot of people are experiencing this sort of free-floating anxiety and anticipation while not much seems to be happening yet. And this may be the most surprising factor of all for some people, because these aspects have been so hyped up by all the astrologers this year. Many are either severely struggling or experiencing what appears to be a sort of delayed outcome in some area of importance. So not only are we coming out of a Mercury retrograde cycle, but the nature of the basket or cradle pattern has us gathering up energy to be used up for something in the future. A positive manifestation of this could be turning inward to creative and spiritual pursuits that will provide energy in confronting the empty hemisphere. Something is developing or brewing that will be unleashed when the conditions are more appropriate or when the conditions are ripe. That will eventually grant us freedom from our perceived or actual limitations. Coming back to the full moon itself, in a conjunction with Pluto in Aquarius, I wanted to mention that in Vedic astrology, this falls in the nakshatra known as Shravana, the star of listening, as its very symbol is an ear. And this indicates a special attention both in what is being transferred orally and what is being absorbed and heard. It hints at the need for greater mindfulness in the delivery of speech at this time. Shravana can also indicate that we are spiritually hearing the music of the spheres, especially given the moon's sextile to Neptune. But the shadow side of this nakshatra is gossip, and this may be something that we need to avoid engaging in. And those who indulge in gossip or spread rumors about others are probably setting themselves up for a puncture to their own reputation. On the other hand, we might hear news, actual news, of someone that alerts us to potential dangers regarding our involvements with them, and this could save a lot of needless entanglement and heartache later on. But overall, it's just wise to listen, be aware of those who twist the words of others or try to use their words against them for selfish and biased reasons. Overall, what affects one ultimately affects all in a family, group, or community. So the moon conjunct Pluto in Aquarius is bringing up difficult issues that each family, group, partnership, or community is facing in their own unique way. And of course, the more conscious and considerate the group, the easier and more harmonious this process appears to be. Also, we are entering eclipse season, and August is looking like another wild ride. The big picture interpretation of cosmic alignments right now is that much of what has been building up this year is leading toward very large-scale transformation that will not become obvious or fully evident until next year, 2027. I know, that's such a cliffhanger, but that's all I have for now. And check in again soon, because probably in a few days, I'll have some other exciting news to share. This was Yeri of Astrology Healing Arts, wishing you the best possible outcomes going forward.